Hi, I just wanted to go over the configuration files used in RetroCRT that are available to Windows and Mac users. The first one is the config.txt, which everybody knows about. So in the one that comes with the RetroCRT distribution, it is fairly well commented. The stuff that we care about for RetroCRT in specific are towards the bottom. The big things in here would be updating this value here, depending on what hardware you're using. RetroTink Ultimate versus pretty much everything else. RetroTink Ultimate uses a 24-bit depth. Everything else uses like an 18. So you definitely want to have that set correctly. The other configuration file that we care about is in this RetroCRT directory. So go in here, pop that file open. So currently there's not a lot of need to go into this, but in the future, in this directory, you'll be able to configure your Wi-Fi. You'll be able to configure stuff like temporary files. How do you want to handle logs and everything like that? Like if you just want all logs to go to a RAM disk to minimize writes on your SD card, great, we'll do that. Debugging, you will also can enable debugging in here. In the future, you'll be able to go in here and grab logs and send them to me so I can see what's going on your machine and if there's something you need to have fixed for you. So my toolset reads this file and then does everything it needs to do. It also writes this file and then reads it. So this gets updated once in a while. But you'll see stuff like the DPI output format, which is saved in the config text, is also here. So this will dictate what my stuff writes into config text. So if you update one, you should update both, but you're pretty safe if you just update config text and the next time you run the installer, you change that. One of the big things that's going to be coming relatively soon is the JAMA controls. Currently, right now, I only support USB controls. Pretty soon this will have JAMA in here. You'll just set that to JAMA, and then the next time you boot up your machine, all the JAMA daemons will start up automatically, and you will just have JAMA controls. Very simple. But a lot of this other stuff, like you probably will never need to touch. But it's in here just for, your own edification. You see the last two sections are not used. They will be used. They're not right now. But yeah, and eventually in the future, on boot, there will be a process that runs before emulation station. If it detects a change to this configuration file, it will update the system based on this configuration file, and it will then reboot the system. So you can change your video settings. It'll fix it on your machine. It will reboot, and your machine will come the way you want. And a bunch of other things. Wi-Fi configuration will be handled through probably stuff in this directory, not in this file. And other things like moving log files to a RAM disk instead of writing to your SD card. And other tweaks and stuff like that will extend the life of your card. So that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. Maybe there'll be another video in a couple months, but for right now, that's it. Thanks a lot for listening. Take care.